Greetings, brethren. It is I, the Donkey, once again back with German Beer Week, where we look at lots of different kinds of German beer that you may have heard about, or you may not have heard about, or, I don't know, you may have even had, but we'll look at them anyway. And today we're going to look at Weissbier. Now, Weissbier is a bit... So specifically, I'm going to talk, obviously, about what we in the south of Germany call Weissbier, which is a wheat beer. White beer. There are different kinds of Weissbier across Germany that aren't necessarily wheat beers. For example, I'm pretty sure in Berlin they call top fermentation light pale beers Weissbier, which is something completely different, of course. But let's just ignore North Germany because they're inferior anyway. And we'll talk about the superior South, and we'll talk about wheat beers. Now, they come in several different variations usually. You'll have these, which are, when they're shown as Hefe, that generally means that they will be cloudy, so they haven't been filtered. And then there's also Kristallweizen, or crystal wheat beer, which will have been filtered. So it's clear, much like a regular beer, except, it's still a wheat beer. Wheat beer obviously means that it has, or the majority of the, not even sure what you call that in English, like the stuff, the gloop, the brew juice that you make in the beginning, that you boil out of grain. The majority of that, at least, is wheat. Sometimes it's all wheat. Some mix it a little bit. It really depends. There's also, for example, dark wheat beer, which uses some roasted barley in it and some roasted wheat, and it creates a very dark wheat beer. Yeah, and this one is probably the archetypical one. It's Paulaner, which you can probably get all across Germany at this point. I was originally brewed in Munich by the Paulaner monks. And it started being brewed in 1634. Very, very storied beer. They started brewing all sorts of beer when they opened up during the time of the Holy Roman Empire, and the wheat beer was one of their sort of mainstays, and the one that has become most popular. They also brewed a lot of strong beers, which we'll get to later in the week, but they haven't become quite as synonymous with this particular brand. This particular brand is basically very much synonymous with just their wheat beers. So now you may also laugh at me and my horrible wheat beer pouring skills. I'm not particularly good at it. Gotta let it rest a little bit. I'm really bad at it. I'm sure any Bavarians watching me will be aghast, but listen, I don't personally drink a lot of this, okay? So don't don't get on my case too much, because yeah, this was horrible, horrible attempt. Oh well. All right. By the way, at the end, you should turn this a little bit so you get the remainders of the yeast out. And then I guess I didn't leave enough in there to get all the yeast out. Oh well, we'll just have to deal with that. So as I said, this is a regular wheat yeast wheat beer. So as you can see, it is rather cloudy. You hold it against the light. You see, there's very little light shining through. That's how cloudy this beer is. You can see how much it hides my face. And I should have poured a much bigger crown. I'm very sorry, Bavarians. Yeah, so let's have a go. I've not actually had Paulaner Weissbier in a long time. Ah, yes. Ah, the memories are coming back. So, wheat beers are very different from your average lager beers, which are made usually from barley. If you have had lager beers and they were too bitter for you, they were too savory for you, there was just too much going on there, and you were always looking for something a bit more fresh, and a bit, a bit more fruity perhaps, you should give this a go. Now, if you don't like the cloudiness and you don't like the taste of the yeast, try out the crystal wheat beer, because that's, that gets rid of that, and it also gets rid of a lot of the yeast flavor, which some people really love and some people don't. I'm very neutral on it. Yeah, so what does this taste like? It is a lot more of a fruity flavor. This particular one doesn't, but there are a lot of wheat beers that have almost something of banana, almost a banana flavor. And they are generally they're a bit more sour. They don't have any of that bitterness or any of that savory flavor that, lager beers have. And you also shouldn't chill these too much. You shouldn't go near the freezing point. They should probably be somewhere around, I think it's 6 or 7 or 8 degrees. Not much colder than that, because it damages the yeast and makes the yeast taste gross. As I have more. I will say, Paulaner is not my favorite. And it has something, to me at least, it has an aspect to its flavor that reminds me of Play-Doh. And I find it kind of unpleasant. So it's not my particular favorite. I couldn't even name you my favorite, honestly, because it's definitely not one that I go out of my way too often. It's great in the summer. It's a lovely summer beer, and there are many sort of. You have to remember, beer has been around for a very long time, long before modern medicine. So over the years, people have tried to justify their massive beer consumption with giving it health properties. So people say about wheat beer, for example, that it is really, really good against kidney stones. Now that isn't entirely true. There is truth to it in fact that any type of beer, especially lagers or any lighter beers, so not dark roasty beers, but the lighter beers, that they can actually have a beneficial impact on you if you are prone to kidney stones, because they drive your need to have a pee, and that sort of flushes through your kidneys. However, drinking a buttload of alcohol obviously isn't great for the minerals you have in your body. You flush a lot of those away, and just extreme consumption of alcohol just isn't great for your kidneys or your liver either. So it's more that if you drink some beer, that is good for your kidneys. If you drink 3, 4, 5 beers a day, it's not so good for your kidneys. So like with most everything else, enjoy it in at a level. Don't go crazy, but a little bit is fine. A little bit actually helps. So if you are prone to kidney stones, I don't know if this particular type of beer helps you with that. That sort of belief has existed for a long time. Honestly, I think it's more that the type of person who drinks a lot of wheat beer is also the type of person that drinks like 1 beer a day. They have a beer after work, and it's one of them, and that's all they do. And just having that sort of regularly and sort of, boosting their level of peeing, that flushes through their kidneys and helps with that. So there you go. Didn't think you'd hear about kidney stones on the beer channel, did ya? Well, you did. Cheers. There's definitely no denying that wheat beers are a fantastic summer drink. I would definitely drink this over, high percentage beers in the summer, or really, really savory and aggressive lager beers, really aggressive pilsners that are very, very bitter. I don't find them as pleasant in the summer months because it's already so hot. I just kind of wanted something refreshing. And this is definitely something refreshing. So this and the pale lager that I talked about yesterday in the video is what I would recommend for summer beers. And for anyone who finds Pilsners too aggressive in their flavor. So what am I going to give Paulaner Hefeweizen? I'm sure I'm going to offend people with this, but I think as far as Hefeweizen goes, or as far as Weissbier goes, I don't think Paulaner is that great. It's very popular because it's very much like Beck's or Heineken. It's just kind of the standard, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. And there is a reason why I haven't had this in probably 10-15 years, and probably won't have it again in another 10 to 15 years after tonight. And that's that I just don't find it that exciting as a beer. I would give this... I think I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. And I know, I just have offended someone who really likes Paulaner. Probably someone who grew up in Munich, and this is like their home turf kind of thing. But I'm sorry, I just don't dig it that much. It is still very decent. I'm actually not sure how easily available this is outside of Germany. I think when it comes to wheat beers, the one that's way more accessible outside of Germany is Erdinger. At least I know that that's something you can get in Canada. You can get it in England and Ireland. I've even heard places in America have it. So that's probably the one you'll be testing if you're not in Germany. And I wouldn't say that's bad, because Erdinger is, I think it's better than Paulaner, even just a little bit. And I hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful evening, and please join me again on another day for another beer. Remember, it's still German Beer Week. There's still a few more types of beer to discover and to talk about, and for me to try and get my hands on, because some of them are kind of difficult to get where I live. But we'll manage. We'll have the important ones. All right, take care, guys.